here with Molly Schaller, and today we're talking about patterns, and Molly has created this beautiful asymmetrical bracelet. Welcome, Molly.
Hi, thanks, Katie.
You're welcome. Let's take a look at this bracelet. I love the way that you put all of these elements together on one end.
Yes, that was it's kind of fun to have something that has a little bit of something here and then just this for the back of your wrist without the clasp right there.
You won't really see it anyway, I guess, and gives you a little bit more flexibility.
It does, and it's more comfortable. I'm fidgety about things like that. So.
Sure. Yeah. So how do we get started? Tell us a little bit about the sliders. These are gorgeous.
Thank you. These, they have enamel on them, and there are 2 holes, little channels in the back of each one, and they fit together really nicely in that I like kind of like this graduated growth and then dimension. So, so basically what we do to get started is you take your beading wire. The 49 strand is what I usually use since bracelets get such a workout on your wrist, or at least they do on mine.
Definitely.
And I'm using 2 strands, 1 for each channel. And I've got my crimp on here, and I'm holding them as 1 at this point. I'm just gonna slide on the
your
2
wires,
and my toggle bar, and bend them back.
Everybody loves toggle bracelets.
They're easier to get on, I think, than the lobster clasp ones. And they look nice too.
Definitely.
Thank you. And then I'm just going to use my crimper and crimp them. Sometimes they don't want to cooperate and come through at once all together.
Yeah, so you use the standard size of crimping tool with your crimp tube. And I like to use crimp tubes when I attach a clasp because it has more surface contact, but you could also use a crimp bead there.
You could, yep. Yeah, I'm just used to the tubes. I think once you get used to one, you just stick with it. I usually trim at this point because you've got double the wires coming through, so I'll go ahead and trim.
Yeah, so when you use your flush cutter, I also in class remind people to turn it to their work, turn the flush side to the work, which makes sense, but when you just grab your tools, you don't always have them the right way, so I always flip them around.
Yeah, it's helpful, and you just don't want wires flying around all the time.
Sure.
So to get going on it, since we're going to start down here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm still holding the wires together as 1. You can pass through 1 bead. And you do want to pre-check your beads before you get really set on one design to make sure that both wires will pass through.
Oh, that's a great tip.
So you're going to go like that. And then at this point, we're going to divide the wires.
And that's where your sliders come into action.
Yep, this is where we're going to use our sliders. But in order to kind of give the sliders a little more distinction, I like to put a little bead, an accent color bead, in between each one so that they each get the attention they deserve.
Sure. And the 4mm beads make great spacers in all kinds of designs.
Yeah, I have these little purple ones too that are really nice. I'm going to use those on the back part later on. But once you've got those beads on there, they also give it a chance, like when the wires separate and open up, it covers that wire for you so that you don't see the bare wire. And this is the part where you're just going to slide through carefully the sliders. And you really want to kind of cozy it up to those 2 little beads you just strung, because you do want them to lay pretty nicely. And you're going to continue on the same pattern, just putting one of these little 4mm on each side, one on that wire and another on that wire as you go through. And the channels actually, they're holes that you go through instead of loops on the backs of those. They're all different types of connectors.
So they're a little bit different.
They are.
Right, and then you can see the double strand effect there. I love the way you use the spacer. So once you put all of your sliders on, you're ready to do the larger beads. And it looks like those are about 10mm. Yeah,
they're nice, and I kind of like the chunky look with the larger. These are pretty flashy beads.
Oh yeah, and it brings out the color.
Yeah, so I like how there's a variety of colors, but they're all kind of that same intensity in this one. And so I went ahead and I had strung this bead, but I went ahead and strung that all together to kind of keep those wires started together.
Keep your tension too.
Yeah. And as you slide these on here, I do kind of try to cozy everything up. And then this is going to be the harder ones, the little tiny beads in between.
That adds some nice sparkle too.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
There. So you continue in that fashion.
So when you say that you're tightening it, we should make sure to say that with bracelets, you don't want it to be too tight.
Yes, or else they'll be rigid and they won't wrap.
Cozy's a good word.
Cozy, yes. You have to cozy them up.
Right. So let's take a look at this one again. So here's your beaded end, and you have some great fabulousness going on here.
Yep, I used these as inspiration for colors, and I tried to find other beads that kind of like went along that, but then again give it me some more flashy texture. And you could use, I like the length too. I like to have a variety of dangles, not all necessarily rounds. So this one's a drop. You could use the marquee like I did there. And you just make yourself a couple little wrapped loop dangles.
You need your round nose pliers.
Yes, I'll need those first. So what I do is I just go like that. I make a 90-degree bend and wrap around.
Over the top.
Yep. And then kind of readjust it, and then I wrap around. Actually, I like to use these. Yeah, I like to tighten it with...
You know, everybody has a different technique for making wrapped loops.
Yeah, I bet you see so many.
We do, and it's great because then you know what to do. Then you just trim.
I'm just going to try to keep it low. Trim the end off, and then you can either use your crimping pliers, which is a really great idea, or you can use your flat nose here.
Just flush it.
To get it down.
On these then, it looks like these are attached to a jump ring, and then that's on the toggle ring.
Yes.
That is great, gives it a lot of flair. Let's look at this option. So this is using a different color palette, but same bracelet.
Yep.
I love it.
Both of them
goes with my sweater today.
Yes.
And the blue one is an example of putting the sliders together without spacers between here. And you switched it up. You have the toggle at the other end.
Yep.
Just for fun?
Yeah, I think that the one thing that you do have to be sure of though is to not put the dangles on the toggle bar end, because that'll prevent the toggle bar from going through the ring.
That makes sense.
So yeah, you can switch it and flip it that way as long as you always keep the dangles on the ring end.
On the ring. Okay, and of course you could use any kind of toggle ring, any decorative style.
Definitely.
Well, these are great and very beautiful. I love them, Molly.
Thank you.